Hey everybody, time for another midweek chat. April 17th, 2024. We had our finance council last night. We congratulated our 3 CPAs on the finance council for making it through April 15th. My brother is a CPA, my father was a CPA, so I knew all about April 15th. So anyway, here it's getting, and it's the 3rd week of the Easter season. And I'm back on the Chippewa River. Last week, if you tuned in, I was on the Atlantic coast. Wasn't that something? I'll post some pictures up on my Facebook page of the great things. But yeah, briefly, I mean, it was. I'd never been in an 8-day silent retreat before on the shore of the Atlantic Ocean, no less. The beauty was almost a little distracting as far as praying the way I'm used to praying and wanting to pray, but it's hard to complain with just being surrounded by beauty. So I spent a lot of time sitting out on the rocks where that chat was filmed, and a ton of video clips trying to catch the right wave. And that was one of my spiritual challenges, actually. I was telling my director, I said, I got to just leave my phone and camera in the room when I go outside, because I'm just like, I gotta catch I gotta get this picture of the perfect wave, or I gotta get this clip. And as soon as I put the camera down, then the wave would hit really hard in the water. Oh, why did I missed it, And so it was, I think maybe that's not just me. Maybe it's kind of a cultural thing. We kind of run after experience. We want to be able to show people, what we saw and how great it was. And a lot of pictures that we want to take and video clips. And does that interfere sometimes maybe with just being present in the moment and appreciating? But and then I would I'd do that. So then I put my camera in my pocket and the waves would come and I'd be like, yeah, I'm just in the moment. I don't have to take a picture of it. And then I saw these big waves coming and I was like, and I went for the camera again right away. But anyway, it was a little bit of a challenge. But I don't know about if you ever had the kind of an extended time of prayer and retreat, but by the end of it, I could just sit. I just really was feeling like I could sit, like at night. Probably I did my best praying at night, which is true here too. They had a chapel. They had a chapel with the Blessed Sacrament, a chapel with Mary, a lot of different places to pray. And I could just sit easily half hour and just feel completely content, not moving and just sitting still. And I don't know if that makes a good prayer or not, but it's certainly a kind of a pleasant state and refreshing. I didn't know I was like, I try to pray like that sometimes here too, contemplative prayer and just to be still. But because of our activity during the day, our brains just got a lot more going through them. And anyway, it was a great luxury to be able to just kind of sit and contemplate and be with God. Had a Jesuit spiritual director to talk to. I wrote a little bit about it in the bulletin. I can always unpack some of that later, but I enjoyed just being in a different part. I'd never been to the Cape Ann. You ever heard of Cape Ann? This is Cape Ann Marina. That's where I spent my first night in a hotel. And so Boston Harbor, Boston Tea Party. So when Boston Harbor comes out, there's another little famous cape is Cape Cod, right? It's got that little swing below Boston that goes out. And then Cape Ann is above Boston Harbor, where there's a little bit of land that juts out. And that's the city of, we'd say Gloucester. They say they're Gloucester. And then Rockport. And I spent my last 4 days in Rockport. And honestly, as wonderful as the retreat was, it was a good friend who couldn't have been, I should think of a way that she could have been kinder to me, but I can't. Got me at the airport, took me back to the airport. We went out to eat a lot. Went out with her husband. Her husband's an artist, has an art gallery in Rockport. She's a pastor, so I went to services at her church on Sunday. It was fantastic. Got some tips. So if I do anything different this weekend, maybe it's because I picked it up from my friend Sue. But we hadn't been in very good contact the last 20 years or so. And after I signed in for this retreat, I'm like, oh, that's where Sue lives, And I don't know. I just didn't expect to be so warmly and generously received. I should have, but we were super. My Seattle years, very, very close and beyond that. It was just great to connect. So I had a good retreat, spiritual time, and a lot of really good friendship time and honest, good talk time. So it was a good long time to be away. So I'm glad to be back here on the Chippewa River. Not maybe as exciting as the crashing waves of the Atlantic coast, but it's home, right? So anyway, just wanted to share some of that. Glad we could stay in touch with the chat. I got some parish news. Should I go through it? Why not? Should we talk about summer already? Why not? July 15th to 18th, Vacation Bible School. Oh, I saw the sort of theme. Is it spaceships? I can't remember what the theme is. But this is for 4-year-olds through 5th grade. And then older ones, we rely on you to be volunteers and helpers. And we have a great tradition at St. James of people volunteering for that. So it'll be from 9 a.m. to noon, July 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, for 4 days. So that'll be great. That's nice that that's happening. More important, and immediately, First Communion. A lot of our second graders will be brought to the table, the Lord's table, for the first time to receive. More than a blessing, but actually receive Jesus, the very life of God, into their bodies this weekend. I always remember Ava Drought when I was a pastor in Menominee. Said, what's special about this day? I'll probably mention it this weekend at the Masses, but while I brought it up, everyone said, we received Jesus, or we're having a party. It was good answers, but she said, as the principal's daughter, so precocious, right? She said, well, every other time, all other time of our lives, God's always been all around us. But today we get to have God inside of us. And I don't know that could be better expressed. Way to go. She's in college now. Maybe he's graduated. I don't know. So I read an article on Eucharist while I'm on the topic. It was a little bit of a riff on It was a discussion, exposition, an essay about Eucharist and spiritual communion. So when COVID and the pandemic started, we have this, and we still do, I believe, at communion time on our stream mass, the prayer of spiritual communion will come up. And it had something, I think the official prayer or the traditional prayer says, since we can't be there in person and receive you physically, help us at least receive you spiritually. And the author of this article I just read agreed with me wholeheartedly that word "at least," let's get that out of there. It just sounds kind of like second class, when was the pandemic and people were home and they were trying to stay in touch. You might disagree, but we excised that word "at least." Let me receive you spiritually. And the guy who wrote this article, he said, well, receiving Jesus spiritually is what communion's all about. It's not to deny or make unimportant the physical reality of Jesus with us, but it's this year of Eucharistic renewal, right? So there's a lot of effort to boost our faith in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. And I think him and like myself a little bit, the one wariness I have of that a little bit is, are we going to just get so focused on the itness of the Eucharist and forget about how it transforms us and it's meant to change us to be more Christ-like and unify us with God's people. And so what he said was, in the year of the Eucharist, we're to foster and promote not only a renewed faith in the true body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist, but also in the gift that flows therefrom. And the gift that flows therefrom is to us united in the unity of the Holy Spirit and enlivened to love one another, So I thought that was right on, And of course, our faith in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist is the catalyst for that, right? But to divorce it from the spiritual communion, where it's every once in a while I bring up, because there's a closing prayer. It says something like, "May we who have received the Eucharist, or may we who have consumed the body of the Lord be renewed in spirit, or something like that. Anyway, I remember the U.S. Bishops' Conference had a pamphlet on the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, probably about 15 or 20 years old now. And I'm going to have to start adjusting that now that I'm older. I always say 15, 20. It's probably more like 25, 30 years ago. But the question was, so if someone doesn't really know what they're doing or doesn't have Eucharistic faith, comes to communion and they receive the body of Christ at communion time at a Catholic Mass, have they received Jesus? And I think I read it the first time and I thought, well, yeah, because we believe there's a change. And when I pose that question to people, most people say yeah. But they're really just someone who has no idea what even they're doing. Wandered in off the street, says, oh, this looks interesting. But if you don't have Eucharistic faith and you don't know what's going on, do you receive Jesus? And actually the bishop's document said no, which surprised me. But then they followed it quickly by saying they consume Jesus. Because there is a change. It really is Jesus. The host, the sacrament is Jesus. But they've not received it in the sense of having it touch their lives. They've consumed, just the fact that it's Jesus, and they've taken it into their body, but they haven't received it in a way that makes a difference in their lives. I thought that was really, really great and kind of in sync with what I just read here, right? Saint Bonaventure was in that article, a Franciscan saint. I don't think he knew Saint Francis, but he's one of the earlier Saint Franciscans, maybe 100 or 200 years later. He was less than 100 years later. I think he was a contemporary, of Thomas Aquinas, and he died in 1270. Francis died in 1226, so not so long after Francis. Anyway, real smart guy, theologian, Bonaventure, and feast day is July 15th, which was Don Moret's birthday of happy memory, Father Don. Anyway, so he said that he emphasized it's not just receiving with our mouth and our stomachs, but we need to receive the Eucharist with our hearts. And he used the phrase, chew with the mouth of your heart. I don't know if that just seems sort of gross or if it's intriguing. He's a mystic, a mystical image, to chew with the mouth of your heart. Just kind of throw that out to reflect, to not just consume and go, but to reflect as you're consuming the body and blood of Christ. To take that into your heart as well, right? To reflect, to feel the love given and offered, and to offer your love back, chew at the mouth of the heart. That was good. Okay. Hey. Oh, scam. So anybody get a text or an email from me this week? Probably not. I did send a few texts and emails, but a lot of people, so when I got at the airport in Boston and I opened up my phone and I had just a lot of questions from people, emails, texts, Facebook messages. Did you send me a note asking for financial assistance for someone you're caring for? It's happened a lot over the last many years, but on Monday it just happened in droves. They were getting calls at the office that Father Tom, does he need help for this? Does he need help for that? So one, thank you for everybody who's willing to be helpful if you think I'm contacting you. Congratulations if you were suspicious. And sometimes you've never experienced something like that. Oh, maybe it's true. Yeah, I want to be generous. I want to be helpful. Father Tom's asking me, I'll do it, So, I mean, that's lovely. But yeah, I would never ask you for money that way. Usually they want like gift cards for Apple or eBay, $100 denominations, 4 of them, something like that. And it's too bad. And it's not like my account is being hacked. It's not from my real number or my real email address. So it's really, it's clever, but it's evil, right? It's people, they think, well, who's likely to answer a plea for money, Well, church people, the people that go to church and hear that whatever you do for the least of my brothers and sisters, you do for me. and people that like their pastor and would like to be helpful if he asks. So it's all these good-willed, good-natured people that are, prevalent, very prevalent in churches, and and they somehow get your information by I don't know how they get it, but it's not through my accounts. They see you on some St. James thing or something, and anyway, it was just so many. So please don't. I'll never ask you for money in that way. Other ways, maybe down the road as needs arise. So what else? Book club. So May 15th, it's called First Belong to God by Austin Ivereigh, Ivereigh. I read it when I was on retreat because it was about an 8-day retreat with St. Ignatius spiritual exercises as a guide, and the thought of Pope Francis as a guide. And it was very good. I just talked to Kelly, who's reading the book. She's about 3/4 through, and she said it's just really great as well. In fact, so it's a new book, and one of the priests who preached at a Mass during my retreat, at the end of Mass, he said, by the way, I just got to tell you, there's this new book out, and it looks really, really good, and it's about an 8-day retreat. There was this book, and I wanted to be a show-off. Yeah, it's really good. I remained silent, of course. And then I just went to look it up on like Wikipedia. I wanted to know more about the author, so I looked it up, and there's a Wikipedia link, and you can edit Wikipedia. I've never done it before, so then I read the articles. He's an English guy, church guy, not a priest. Big fan of Pope Francis. Worked in the institutional church in England. Director of communications or something for the Archdiocese of Westminster, something like that. Anyway, it had a list of his written works, and it didn't have this most recent book from 2024. So I thought we were supposed to be able to add stuff. So I edited it. So I have now contributed to Wikipedia. I entered his most recent publication in the article about him. So I feel now I'm a published author, right? What else we got going? So anyway, all that with First Communion has come out thanks to Jamie Rosine, our second grade teacher and second grade catechist, Ruth Ebert, one of our second grade catechists, Beth Cerny, who just works so hard to make it beautiful for our children. There'll be First Communion at each of our Masses, probably a little under 10 at each Mass would be about, maybe one of them will have a little more than 10. Got about 30, maybe under for total numbers. But it'll be good, Call them up around the altar for the Eucharistic prayer, and it's a nice thing. Shouldn't really add that much time to the Mass, because they'll just be coming with communion a little bit slower. They'll come as family units, I think. So, but it's good. So our last 2 weeks of religious ed tonight, Group A, and then next week Group B, and then it's all over except the Catechist Appreciation Potluck, which will be catered by some barbecue place on Hastings. I forget the name. Carl's. So that's good. Kelly and Beth always do an awesome job, really, with everything they do. I don't know, I can't really spot a weakness. And so make it fun for the catechists. They have a good curriculum for our children, most importantly. It's their job, right? And they're doing this service trip. So I'm still on the fence about it. I want to go. I bought my ticket to go, but it's the first Priest Unity Days with our new bishop, and I'm on a council that might be convened, so I just have to kind of wait till the last hour. But I'd like to be with the youth on that. I would join on midweek because I can't take so many weekends off. I just missed 2. I'll miss another couple in June. St. Anne's in Wausau invited me to preach at their 75th anniversary Mass. They said they might invite the bishop, so maybe I'll get canceled. That'd be okay. And then I forget what's the next time. Well, the next time it's going to be the service trip. So Father Shebs is going to be with us those weekends in June. Some nice news from the school. I visited with Mrs. Havener, Danielle, today, and she went through our OCIA this year, and so she was not in my communion line, so I didn't have the pleasure of giving her communion today, but next time. And she said that she went to an in-service to educate, best practices for education, and there was a class they took on phonics and really recommending something, and she said, and that's what we're doing. we're doing that at St. James School, this thing that's like highly recommended and new. And I said, well, whose idea was that? And she humbly said, well, mine. I was like, so that's great. You know, isn't that great? We have such a knowledgeable and good and leader and our principal. Said we are losing our 4th grade teacher, Abby, so got a job in the public sector, I gather. I didn't talk to her about it, but so there'd be an opening if you know anybody that would maybe have that vocation to be a Catholic school teacher, probably to our 9 and 10-year-olds, our 4th grade. That'd be great. Speaking of our school, I saw Camden. He's one of our kindergartners. I recognize him. I'm always a little slow to learn kindergartners because they look more similar to each other than they do when they're older. So their names. But I saw him sitting in the grocery cart with his mother. I knew I recognized him, and he kind of looked at me. And I had my glasses on. I didn't have my collar on, and so I probably looked a little different to him. So he's kind of just looking at me. And all of a sudden, it's like, Father! It was so fun to reconnect with people in that way. So I got to talk to his mom, and his mom knew where the hummus was. I was way in the dairy department, and across the store from where they only had one brand at that store. I think the flagship festival on London Square has a lot, like the locally made hummus. I really like Water Street Deli. I couldn't find that anywhere in the store, so that was a little disappointing. For what it's worth. It probably isn't much, but if you're looking for water, you might want to go to the other. So, coffee, no, coffee maker, no. So I was on retreat. That was so funny. I was drinking mostly tea. They had a great chai, rooibos chai. I bought some because I really liked it. Anyway, people that like coffee, which are a lot of people, the coffee maker broke, so there was some people a little bit unhappy, and there was a sign on it, and it said, disappointingly, this is handwritten, disappointingly, the coffee maker is not working because someone didn't follow the directions on how to make it. And so we'll do our best to try to find coffee from another source, period. So you can just kind of feel the irritation in it, A nice bun coffee maker. I talked to the person later, and I guess what happened is instead of putting where you're supposed to pour the water, they just put in a bunch of coffee. So anyway, you can see where they were irritated by that. But then, so I actually took a picture of it. It's on the camera that's taking this video, so I can't show it to you. But what I said, disappointingly. So, and then I went back in the morning, and that note wasn't there. It just said, coffee maker is broken. We'll do our best to get you coffee through other means, period. And you know what happened, right? Either the person himself or the supervisor, one of the retreats read that and said, that's a little shaming. If you're the person who put the coffee in the water spout and you read that, you think, oh, I am just how could I be so stupid? Or I let everyone down, right? So, and here we're on retreat, trying to experience the love and mercy of God. So anyway, I talked to the guy, he's very friendly, and I brought it up. I said, yeah, there was this other note on it before. He goes, yeah, that's my fault. I put that up there. And he didn't tell me if someone told him to make another one or if he came to his senses the next day, but I thought it was good. They changed it because my first thought was, ooh, that's shaming to the offensive party, So good reminder, right? To be charitable in all things. And I mentioned I spent some good time with my friend out there. Did I mention she's a pastor? So, and the Sunday service, it was just lovely. The people there just love her. It's a community church, interdenominational. She was accredited to be a UCC pastor. But then got this offer from this interdenominational group, and I'm very attached to the Catholic Mass, so it's not like I would see it replacing that. But it's good to kind of see other people pray, and there's a lot of things very recognizable. Excellent sermon. They expect her, she said, to preach for 20 minutes. So that's one thing I should probably change, right? Lengthening my homilies up to 20 minutes. So believe it or not, they're not 20 minutes. When I look at their length most of the time on YouTube, if I want to just check things, they've been about 12, which is longer than I would like. But anyway, 20 minutes, that's something to shoot for, huh? And anyway, just so joyful, and people, because of the smaller congregation, everybody knows each other, they're super friendly. I'm a new face. Every time I came across somebody, they'd always say, oh, I don't think I've met you. I don't think I know you. And I'd say, oh, I'm Tom. I'm a friend of Reverend Sue's. And like, oh, yeah, she said you're coming, And I mean, it just couldn't have been. They actually they had a hospitality time, and they brought Wisconsin summer sausage to the hospitality table because they knew I was coming, and a cheese tray. So actually, I would have probably preferred the other things, but I felt obligated to eat it, So, but it was great, and I loved it. So, I don't suspect the purveyors of that tray will be watching this. So, but if you are, it's just thank you for the hospitality, and it was good. It was good. Just when you're eating fried clams for lunch every day, maybe you don't want to have sausage to watch the fat content. So I did not have a big boiled lobster. They were pretty expensive. And honestly, I just I didn't have a lot of laundry with me. I didn't want to you eat a boiled lobster, when you take the shell apart and you crack the claws, you wear a bib, but the bib doesn't block everything. So I just thought, well, I'm going to try to keep my clothes smelling fresh, so I'm not going to get the boiled lobster. But they have this thing called lazy man's lobster. Not that I'm lazy, but it's the meat of a lobster in a casserole dish with breadcrumbs and butter baked. It's excellent. I had a baked potato. I didn't put any sour cream on it or butter, just cut up the baked potato and then put it in the butter breadcrumb lobster thing. Maybe it's a little bad manners, but it was good, And one night I had squash with that, and one night I had green beans with that. So, not bad. I know you're curious. So that might be all I have, friends. I'm probably missing something. I always do. But I wish a happy First Communion weekend to everybody in the parish and to our children. I'm grateful to God for leading me on retreat and reuniting me with an old friend, and that's good. The other old friend I was going to meet had the flu, and she couldn't meet. But this was the more important, the one I knew better. So, okay. God bless. I'll let you. This is the underneath the high bridge, though, in case anybody's wondering, on the west side here. So I'll just give you a little. My favorite place to bike across. Parish bike ride should be coming up. We'll do one or two in June, I think. God bless you.